All right. How you doing after your interview?
I feel light.
Light.
How many people do we help when we do this? It's just extraordinary. And people don't know that they actually can get set free. It took me a whole lifetime really to get to this place now. And I have a 2-week vacation set with my mom. I'm going to a place of my childhood where I have the most extraordinary memories as a family, and that's where she lives in the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, and I'm going to be there with her in the summer, and maybe my daughter will come and my son, but I'm just so looking forward to being at home and experiencing, you know, I'm so curious about what the relationship's going to be like now that I'm free and I set her free.
Far out. And you know what we didn't get to at all is how did you raise your children differently, having been harmed yourself as a child?
Well, I was certainly hyper aware of everything because I know how to look at a child as a sexual object. So I have very high alert for that. And because of that, I know how to protect a child and not, I think so much of the issue that we have is that we don't educate. Like, it's one thing to be told, don't take candy and do this and that, but what are the characteristics of an abuser? What is the objective? What It's important for children to know from a young age that they're highly sexualized and that people sexualize them without frightening them.
But that it is a possibility. It is something that happens in our world, in our
It
society.
has to be a conversation that we have. We have to start with them very young. My children, one day we were all just watching a movie and they were 3 and 4 and they were both touching themselves. And I had one on one side, one on the other, and they were, pleasuring themselves in public. It was just the 3 of us, but and I looked at them and I said, "Oh my gosh, I know that feels so good. And I just want you to know you can do that all you want, and that's your vagina and that's your penis. And I know because I do it too, and it feels great. But I just want you to know that that's something you do all by yourself. Never, ever let anyone else do that for you. Only you do it, and you can only allow somebody else to do it. Nobody ever gets to say they want that. And I suggest you do it in your bedroom."
Awesome.
That's the way I've always been with my kids.
Awesome. Yeah. And how did you cope as far as having them spend the night at a friend's house or go off to camp or go off in the driver training car alone? Or how did you prepare them or ensure that those adults were going to be safe for your children?
Well, I think because I started it with what I just previously said about giving them ownership and telling them that their bodies are theirs and that they're enjoyable and that they have a right to do all of that, that set up the conversation for us to discuss and for them to create their own sense of self and security around getting in the car with the driver's ed. Like, these were not children who were unaware of other people and being around people who may see them as sexual objects. And so I was very, for both of them, I told them that there are possibilities of things with going to sleepovers. And I told them why I would choose certain families over others. I said, if they have an older sibling, an older sibling, then you can't go to their house for sleepover because the parents are not monitoring who's coming over on a weekend with older sibling friends, and it's not safe for you. You want to have that friend over to our house for a sleepover, that's great. And I was very transparent with the parents. I wanted to know who was in the house, both for my son and my daughter. And then,
And
there was,
how did that sound? Like, can we role play? I'd love
yeah,
to. Yeah. All right. So I'm the parent of the friend.
yeah. Hey, so, how are you, Jenny? Georgia and Isabel want to get together and have a sleepover, and I'm keen to it. But I just want to make sure that you're not having a party, that there's not going to be any alcohol, and that the girls are just going to be the focus of the girls is the focus of the girls, and that no friends are coming over during that time. How do you feel about that?
Oh gosh. Well, yeah, no, we definitely having a party. The girls will be doing their own thing, but they're old enough to occupy themselves, and we're definitely two different couples are coming over and their kids, and they'll be doing a movie in the movie room, but yeah, it's all cool.
And how old are the other kids?
Oh, the children of the other, let's see, gosh, 12, 14, and 16.
So we'll just do this another time. Also, Isabel can come to our house. It's fine. I just don't, I don't drink alcohol, and I don't choose to have, my daughter surrounded by older children that she doesn't know. And I'm just very protective. And Isabel's welcome to come over, or maybe another time when you're not having a party.
Okay, gosh. So it's just because we're having alcohol? Is that the only reason you're not comfortable? And Isabel doesn't know the other kids?
Well, I don't have a judgment about the fact that you're drinking. It's that you're having a relaxed, fun time, which is, of course, of course. I mean, that's what we do. I just am hyper aware of my daughter and being around boys and other children that are older. And I don't like to put her in a position where she's not being monitored by an adult the entire time. And so that's my reasoning.
Okay. Is there something specific you're concerned about?
Well, I mean, aren't we all concerned about the safety of our young girls being around boys that are 16? It's really just, I don't know the boy. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. They're
Know what I
great kids.
mean?
There's nothing to worry about. These are great kids. Yeah, you don't have anything to worry about there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand. We'll
Yeah.
just do it another time. And like I said, Isabel's welcome to come over.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Well,
You're so strong. I'm remembering back to your mom telling you your voice doesn't matter. Nothing that you have to say matters. And I am celebrating you, Hollis, that wow, your voice matters. What you're saying right now, any parent who watches this is going to hear how to speak up for their children with confidence and strength. So thank you for modeling that.
welcome.
Yeah, that is
So important.
so important, because
And
it
so
is.
now my daughter heard me say that. And she was mad. And now she says it for herself.
Awesome. Yeah. Great. And yeah, how about your son? Did you raise both of them to know about the harm that you experienced as a child? Were you open and transparent with that?
Yes, I was. You know, it wasn't, I didn't tell them the specifics of what happened. It was age appropriate information. But I never minced words with them about what would happen and what happens to children and how it happens. Um, very sobering conversation, but so necessary. Oh my God, my kids are unbelievable people.
Mm.
And they're so aware. They care for themselves and they care deeply about their friends, and they just have a radar. I implanted a radar. And
Mm.
my husband was on board too, and it never was questioned. We became co-parents when our kids were 7 and 8 years old, and we maintained that.
Mm.
Yeah. So yes, they know about my mother. They know about what happened to me. They know about my drug and alcohol addiction. I was a kleptomaniac. I mean, I could go on and on. Like, I was going to be tried as an adult for forgery and embezzlement when I was 17 years old. So that's one of the side effects of my abuse. And I was able to see those opportunities that children have in their life, and I was able to call them out on those instead of the first thing they stole, making it into like, oh, no big deal. Made it into a big deal. I took my children to a juvenile detention center, and I introduced them to the sheriff. And I said, what goes on in here? My kids want to know. My son just stole something. Like, basically scare them to death.
Yeah. Yeah. And did you ever see them sexually experimenting with each other?
I never did. And I never asked.
Because at such a young age of 3 and 4, you were super clear that, hey, you guys, you're happy to do that, but just go do it in your own rooms.
Well, but isn't it our right? It's
Yeah.
our birthright to play doctor and touch and fondle one another. It's our birthright. We have a right to do that. It's how we discover our sexuality. But when someone else that's older discovers it for you and takes away the innocence of it, oh my God, what a heartbreak.
Yeah, absolutely.
What a heartbreak.
Yeah. Yeah.
So celebrate. Oh my gosh, fly your flag and celebrate and feel it. Do it all. It's so delicious and wonderful. And I mean, my God, I still have to give myself a pelvis massage to be in a position where I can enjoy being sexual. Like, it's work.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, so there was a couple things during the interview that you mentioned about your healing journey. And so can you say a few of the top 3 that helped you come to become comfortable with your sexuality and feel free to be you?
Well, I did the sexual healing journey, and I don't remember the name of the book.
Okay.
I mean, that's the name of the book. I don't recall the author.
Uh-huh.
So I did that. I went through and did that book, and there are some exercises in there. And one of them is noticing the sensations in your body while you're touching yourself. And that's it. Who's the author?
That is Stacey Haynes.
Right.
Okay.
And so she does a mirror exercise where you discover your body in front of a mirror and you touch yourself. And then the part that was really extraordinary is that when you're having sex, making love with someone, instead of bringing your mother and your grandmother into the sex, which I did, my grandfather and my mother, I always brought them in there into the bedroom with me. So I was 5, and then I would have them there with me as an adult. So it was very confusing for me to have an orgasm and do all of that. So the exercise of making love to yourself while making love to an actual person, real time, is so powerful. But in order to do that, first, you have to teach yourself how to pleasure yourself while looking in the mirror and discovering what feels good. And then you try it out with another person. And I had a lot of practice.
Mm-hmm.
And now I take myself and I'm really with the person. I'm really in the room, my body, and I can ask for what I want. It took a long time. Oh my God. Up until 2 years ago, I never asked for what I wanted.
And how did you find the courage to finally ask for what you want? Was it something about the person that you were with that created space for you, or just trial and error?
It was me getting over my fear of my fantasy life that I experience when I'm by myself, and wanting to experience that fantasy life in real time with another human being, and terrified to ask and say that this is what I'm sexually into, and I'm uncomfortable asking for this, and I just want you to know that this is hard for me, but I'm going to do this. And then just doing it little bits at a time, and realizing that with one particular, I only did that with one person, and I realized that he wasn't the right person.
Oh, good.
And that got me to end the relationship, which was really great. It wasn't a long relationship. It had been probably a year.
Okay.
But I was able to end it.
Awesome. And you would listen to your intuition.
I listened to my intuition, and now I just go on coffee dates and I'm still listening. I haven't had any success yet.
Practice, right? That's a fun way to practice. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to share about the interview process that you want folks to know who might be considering having an interview on Storycorps Archive? And
well, I guess, it's not, I'm not telling you it's your responsibility, but it's my responsibility to tell the truth when I know it in my life. Like, that's how I conduct myself. And, all of those times when I challenge myself to tell the truth when I know it, means that I first I've heard it for myself. I'm not in denial, and I hear it and I'm paying attention to it rather than letting it be a fleeting thought. Then I share it with another human being. And when I do that, I get to take the power out of it, and I then allow it to be a conversation that's no longer just with me, goes up into the ethers, into the universe, right? And then the more practice I have doing that, the more another door opens in my creative life, in my love life, in my ability to be closer to the person that I was meant to be, the person that I arrived in the world with, that knew everything that she already knew and then she forgot. And so it's my responsibility now, because I've had years of telling the truth, to tell the truth now, to be of service. Because there's so many so many suffering people that have no idea how to get to where they are right now. Absolutely remember what it was like to where you were then
Mhm.
to where I am now.
Mhm.
Like, wow, that's the crowning achievement of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Tell the truth. Yeah. And I just so believe that by us having this conversation, by us going out and having the next conversation, it's going to get easier and easier for people to listen, learn, and speak about childhood sexual abuse prevention and the epidemic that is out there. Um, and you having not reported what happened in this interview going to the Library of Congress, you are being counted. Your experience matters. We are learning from what happened to you, how to prevent it from happening to others. And silence perpetuates, and our voices bring change. So thank you for not listening to your mother and using your powerful voice and being honest and sharing openly.
Well, you're the one to thank, too. Look
Mhm.
what you created. Thank you. I'm so grateful that you created this. My gosh,
Thank you. Thank you.
what a force.
All right. I can't wait to hear. I hope that you'll invite me to be a part of the interview when you interview your mother and
Oh, yes.
perhaps your brother and perhaps the biological mother of your children. So if you want
Yes.
hand holding to go through the interview process, that is what I'm here for.
Oh, yes. I love it. That's great. I'm
Yeah.
seeing my brother hopefully this week. We just started to become closer because my mom, like I mentioned to you, my mom came to visit and she was here for 2 weeks and my brother came. And it's just perception. It was all about perception. And I just shifted. I changed. And people change. And now I want my brother in my life. And there is no shame in talking about this. And I'll share this with him. And I'll ask him if he wants to do it.
And
Great.
and if he would feel more comfortable having me interview him so that you're not a part of it, that's a possibility as well.
Right. But I think it would resonate for him that the three of us did it. I think it would be
Awesome.
really powerful if he and
Awesome.
you were the interviewer. I think it would be so fabulous. I would love to do that.
Oh,
And I
good.
could get my sister to do it.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
Amazing, right? And your mother.
Amazing.
That's four people, right in your realm of familial. That's, wow. That'd just be phenomenal to talk about healing through this process.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to be our next one is which you titled I've Got a Gift. So this is your gift.
It is.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.